Hello and welcome to Black Road Gaming. I'm your host Aaron, and this is the Adeptus Custodes Tactica episode. And gosh, what a week it has been! As you can see, I have invited a special guest with me tonight, Kylo, and we're gonna have a little chat to him in a minute. But before we do that, I need you to do me a massive favor, folks at home. If you're watching, I need you to hit those magical YouTube buttons for me, please. I need you to do the following. Like if you enjoy my content, give me a good subscribe if you also like the content, and then make sure you hit that bell notification so that you are never missing an episode. Because why would you want to miss an episode of a great Adeptus Custodes content? Kylo, would you want to miss an episode?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, that was the right answer. As you can see as well, we are thankfully sponsored by two wonderful sponsors. Our first one is Glasshammer Gaming. If you want an additional 5% off of your miniatures, just go into Glasshammer and you can put in Black Crow, and that gets you an additional 5% off. 5%. They already do up to 15 to 20% off all of their miniatures, so it can take you up to 20 to 25%, which in these trying times is, beneficial. Our next sponsor is Terrain Forge. If you've been watching our battle reports and I asked you the question of why haven't you been, you need to be going onto the Terrain Forge. If you like your WTC terrain, if you want UKTC terrain, or you just want your own terrain, if you put in BCG and 5% off, you'll get that 5%. The big five. We're just giving 5% off everywhere, Kylo. How do you feel about that?
Hey, every little helps.
Every little helps. So, before we get into it, as you can see, I have, for the first time on the Adeptus Custodes series, I've invited Kylo to join in. And me and Kylo have been talking about him coming on for a little while because, let's be honest, we pretty much talk daily about Adeptus Custodes.
Daily's one thing. It's like almost every hourly at the moment.
It has been hourly, yeah. It's been an exciting time, hasn't it?
It's been a bit of a crazy time, if I'm honest.
I mean, we had the Grotmus detachment, which we were all really happy about. And then, obviously,
Well, not all.
oh,
Most were happy. Most people were happy.
oh, come on. There's some people who may be looking at this game in the wrong format, but it brought some excitement to Adeptus Custodes player. I think we can all agree that.
Yes, I think it's a completely different way to play at the moment, and it's a lot of fun as well.
Yeah, exactly. So, Carlo, just for the people at home, just give us a little heads up of who you are and what you've been doing in this wonderful community that we love.
Yeah, where do I start? I used to be an ITC rep until GW took it over. I used to play on Vanguard Tactics and then try hard wargaming. I do something like 12 events on average a year. I started Custodes like 2 years ago now. I used to play Knights all the time, but I just really wanted to play Custodes because they're probably one of my favorite like lore accurate that I really like. And since then, I've just not came back. I did stop playing them when they got the Codex, but I think everyone stopped when we got the Codex. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, it was a bit of a trying
Travesty.
time. Yeah, it was a travesty. I mean,
It
that
was a
book,
travesty.
it might as well go in the bin. It's
Right now, yes, that book might as well just like not exist. But things have changed for good. You know, changes have been great at the moment, and now we've got even more changes that have happened.
and I suppose it's right in saying we've been a bit excited over the last couple of days. Like we've had some, there has been some changes which us as a custody community have been asking for a long time, and the balanced data slate and Grotmus has basically answered almost pretty much all of our prayers. Don't get me wrong, like there's always going to be that custody player that's like, oh, they could have done this, they could have done that, but actually we've got a lot of choice now and a lot of options. And I think, what do you think to that? I think you're probably in agreement, right?
Oh yeah, I've just been running Shield Host the entire time. It's basically always been tanks, wardens, Draxus, and guard fill rest with chaff. And don't get me wrong, I like playing it, but it does get boring.
Yeah,
And also it gets boring for your opponents because it's like you've just got to try and chew through it. Some armies can, some armies can't. But there's just no real flavour to it. It's cool. I'm going to advance and charge, and then here's crits on fives. Done.
yes. Essentially, and we know over the pond that Talons has been being used, but this isn't what we're going to talk about today, is it, Kylo? We are here
No.
because we are talking about the balanced data slate, baby. It has dropped. It has finally come in the middle of Grotmas, which is a bit weird. But let's get to it. The initial reaction. We're going to go straight into it. We have seen this, by the way. We know what has happened. We are very happy. And here it is, the balanced data slate of December 2024. And let's go straight to the Adeptus Custodes. So we've had some changes, some pretty big changes, and these changes have come in the red. So the shield captain on a Dawn Eagle jet bike changed the profile to change the toughness characteristics to 7 and wound characteristics to 8. He is a tanky boy now.
He is very, very tanky, and if you give him the enhancement, he's even more tanky from Shield Host.
We give him the enhancement from Shield Host, folks. You can take him up to a 10 wound, toughness 7 character on a 12-inch movement bike. Now, I think that's excellent as just a solo piece knocking about the board, doing what they want. It's harassing units, harassing
Yes,
chaff.
but it is, but it's also a lot of points.
It is a lot of points. He is a lot of points. What did he go up to? I think he's like 160 points. Yeah.
160 now.
Which is expensive, but he is toughness 7, 8 wounds base. And there's another reason, folks, as to why this man has gone to, or woman, has gone to being as expensive as they are. And as we can see here, the shield captain on Dawn Eagle jet bike and Virtus Praetor's range weapons has had a bit of a glow up. The
A little
salvo,
bit of a glow up.
a little smidgen of a glow up, would we say, Kylie? The salvo launcher is now twin linked. It's 24 inches. You only have one attack. You've got a ballistic skill 2 plus. You're now strength 10, AP 3, damage D6 plus 1.
Which is what it should have been. It's what it should have been all along.
All along. This profile is what we were kind of begging for, and it's actually it's really good. It's really good to have those bikes. Just you're going into a tank that you want to finish off with the AP3. If you're in the right position, they're probably not going to get cover. You're probably going to force a CP spend to just bring it down to AP2. And if you get them all through, oh boy, there's some damage going through in there. But I think, how do you feel about that, Kylo? Like, what do you think? Is it impactful enough?
I think it gives them play because this entire edition they've not been seen apart from the occasional listing for Auric. But that's more just because you're getting Feel No Pains and you're stacking on those solo characters.
That's right.
But that whole detachment is about characters though. This just means we've got play. We've got more options. And it also means you don't have to spend the money to get Venatari if you can't get hold of them. You've got a nice smaller footprint ish of guys who still have lance, who can still hurt tanks. Fine, they don't get to go through walls. However, new detachment says you can. So it gives them play. Even though Fly in this edition has not been great for quite a few armies, this now just means they've got some play.
It does, and this is just one of the this is just one of the changes. I mean, this datasheet's had pretty much a rewrite.
This is completely new.
Yeah, the Virtus Hurricane Bolter is now rapid fire 3, twin linked, strength 4, minus 1 AP, 2 damage. Now, I just want everybody to have a think for a moment. So in Talons, we can make this strength 5, AP2, 2 damage. And if you put that in a unit of 3 with a shield captain, all equipped with the save, you could have 24 shots at rapid fire range, hitting on 2s, twin linked, at strength 5, AP2, 2 damage.
It's really, really good, but you've always got to look at the AP. Even though you're making an AP2, There's lots of cover on the tables we play on the terrain and everything like so. AP2 is great, so you're keeping it AP1 effectively. That's the best way to
which
look at things.
which is what you can then do in Shield Host makes this even better, right? So you give the captain the 5 points enhancement
Yeah, to ignore cover.
to ignore cover, which is basically AP2. We all talk about that. And then you spend 1 CP, which he can do for free, to give them either sustained or lethal.
Yep.
And that all of a sudden is a scary unit of shooting. Like any form of chaff that's on the board will flat die to that.
Well, you also don't need to do that because they've got another change, haven't they?
And this is the other really fun part of this, which
Yep.
they finally fixed. So yes, we now know they've all gone up to toughness 7, 5 wounds. So your bikes are now 5 wounds, folks, and now toughness 7. But we have got the Virtus Praetor's Quicksilver Execution ability, quite possibly one of the most meh abilities you'll ever see in a codex. And now it's not so meh. They finally
No.
fixed it. Once per battle, after this unit ends a normal or advanced move, you select one enemy unit, excluding monsters and vehicles, that it moved over during that move. Then roll a d6 for each model in that unit. For each 2+, that enemy unit suffers 2 mortal wounds. Oh my days. Say goodbye to that screeny, annoying chaff unit that someone's just put in front of you, and say hello to my little friends.
It is only once per battle, but to hurt something like a character or, like you said, chaff units, it's just fantastic.
Oh
And
my
now
god,
you get
it's
now it's move or advance, and they
you're
get to
just
advance what up to 18 now.
yeah, up to 18 inches. So you're just stacking damage, aren't you? At this point, like it's so easy to stack damage. Now, I really love this. I mean, I've already been sent. Me and Kylo have been sending each other lists already, and we were both just like, because I said to you about bikes. I said to you early that I think bikes are going to get a glow up. I didn't know what was coming, but I was like, I could feel it in my waters. And you went out and you bought some bikes, didn't you, Kylo? And you've had them done,
Maybe.
and you've had them sorted for you. And I think absolutely that's the right move. Like that, every single custodial list out there basically included 2 Caladius tanks, and I think yes, you probably will want to include your Caladius tanks, but it's not the end of the world if you don't, because holy moly, bikes can fill that same. Because the difference between the Caladius tanks and a bike unit is that the bike unit can fly forward, shoot their missiles, maybe get one through, do some damage, and then charge. Whereas a Caladius tank, you've got that one opportunity in the shoot phase to do the damage. Yes, it's an effective tank killing machine, and it keeps a lot of people honest. But I do wonder how good Virtus Praetors are going to be at that press now. It's a hard stat check. T7, 5 wounds. Damage 4 isn't killing them in one hit. It's gonna take
Nope.
two lots of damage 4. It's gonna take 2 lots of damage 3 at toughness 7. That's very nice. All of a sudden, the strength, you're getting these weapons that are going to be wounding on 3s now instead of just flat 2s for a lot of them.
Yep. There's only one shame with this. It would have been nice if the Terminator's got 5 wounds instead, but that's just because I like the Terminators.
Yeah, I get it. The Terminators didn't get any love. I don't think they're going to be seen on the tabletop for a little while. I think they're good, but I think the way that the way that it's moving, I don't think we're going to see them particularly very
No,
often.
I've ran the 17 Terminator list, and don't get me wrong, it is a lot of fun to do.
But it's not very effective.
It's won games. It is funny. Like I said, it's a very funny list.
It's a hard stat check, isn't it? But
Oh yeah, but it's not as hard as now, say, the bikes.
no. So, Kylo, I said to you before we started this, because obviously we've talked about what this big change is for the Adeptus Custodes in this, and we know that there's been a little bit of a points increased in them. You're now paying 150 points for 2 or 225 points for 3, and we know the captain went up. And I think that's a fair amount that they've gone up. I don't think it's really that gross or that uncalled for. I think it's okay. But I think there's been some other changes in this game that are way more impactful, that are going to benefit the Adeptus Custodes. And
There's
I asked you to bring up a couple, so if you want to get us started on one of them.
I think you go right up to the top and you look at Armor of Contempt now. It's changed to
Where is it?
right at the top.
There it is. No. Yes, stratagems that worsen armor penetration. I'll read this out. So, if a stratagem has an effect that says until the end of the phase, each time an attack targets your unit, worsen the armor penetration characteristic of that attack by 1, e.g., Armor of Contempt, Shield of Aversion, Unfailing Obdurant, what a word, Reinforced Hive Node, etc. That effect is changed to say the following: until the attacking unit has finished making its attacks, each time an attack targets your unit, worsen the armor penetration characteristic of that attack by 1.
So it's only for one unit. It's
One
for one
unit,
unit,
baby.
one attack, and that's it.
It's
So you have 2 tanks, one shoots, you get Armor of Contempt. Cool. Next tank shoots, you have no Armor of Contempt.
which is nothing but a benefit for us, because ultimately you can stack this. Like, they've got to really think about when they're going to play their Armor of Contempt, because I believe until the end of the phase, each time an attack targets your unit. So you have to do this at the beginning of the phase, surely.
You do that. You do Armor of Contempt when you've been declared as the target of the attack.
There we go.
So they'll say you go. This unit is going to attack this unit with whatever. Do you want to pop Armor of Contempt? Great. It's now cool. So these attacks are wasted. But if I'm in combat and you've charged with 2 units, you're only getting it for 1 lot of them.
Exactly. And when it comes to Adeptus Custodes combat, folks, it's basically just flat good. So when you're playing into these armies that have got Armor of Contempt, you now multi-charge all the time. It's just a great change. I think it's healthy for the game. Yes, it's a slight nerf to the stratagem, and but it's healthier for the wider community. And I know Space Marine players have had some love in this data slate, because my WhatsApp group will not stop talking about it. The other thing that has been quite a massive seismic change to the way that this game is played is stratagems that allow a closer setup to range.
Yay! No more 3-inch deep strikes. You can all go away.
3-inch deep strike, folks, has disappeared. It no longer exists. It is now 6-inch deep strike, which is just infinitely better for us.
It is.
Is it hard for you to screen out a 6-inch deep strike? Absolutely not. If you're screening out 9-inch, you can screen out 6. It was the 3-inch that was a pain in the bum, especially when we've got so many limited models. 6 inches.
The only answer for it was you take a navigator. That's the only answer to the 3-inch was you take a navigator and it just sits there.
Yeah, absolutely. You take your navigators, you walk them up, and they do the business. And I really like these changes. These have been really healthy for us. But there has been some changes across kind of the whole game. Adeptus Sororitas, they've had some massive changes.
Yeah, a lot of their CPs have gone up for the stratagems.
Exactly that. We've seen some changes to Astra Militarum. Not that I think it's enough, but there's been some changes.
No.
And some of our natural predators have been changed. Now, there's one that I wanted to look at, which I think this is a big impact. So that 6-inch deep strike now really impacts Hypercrypt. But they've had other things changed as well. The amount of units they can pick up has changed. So they can no longer pick up as many as they were. The maximum they can do now is 3 instead of 4, which is a big change. Big change. And
Didn't they change that to monsters? They can't do monsters. It's exclusively monsters.
No, that's for Cosmic Precision. So that was for them coming down at the 6-inch deep strike. And that's fine. Thousand Suns surprised me, because I don't think they've really had any changes, have they?
They've not had any changes, and they've not had the points changed either. So they're still the same.
Which I wonder if they've done that because the meta has shifted so much now. If they think there's going to be more of a natural predator out there for Thousand Suns. I mean, now we have so much speed with our bikes actually being all right. Are we as scared as Thousand Suns as we were as we were at the beginning as Adeptus Custodes players?
I think we're still scared of the Guard, the Thousand Suns, the ones that are going to hurt us. We are still scared of, but we have now probably got better play into them,
I agree.
depending on which detachments you get as well. You know, depending on what are you using, what your local meta is, what say the UK meta is. You know, it's gonna very much depend on all of those things.
And I completely agree. I always feel like Thousand Suns as a custodian player was really difficult to deal with. Now I'm a little bit more positive. And we're gonna quickly, Kylo, let's have a look at our new shiny detachment, the Solar Spearhead. So we as a collective, myself and you, we were very happy with this when this came out. We thought this was a
Very
great,
happy, very happy.
and I gotta admit, I'm still really chuffed to bits about it. But is it our best attachment?
Oh,
I don't think.
I
I think now we're in a position where we've got three good detachments in Talon's Shield Host, and now the Dreadnought list.
I personally still like the Dreadnought probably a little bit more, but I think that's more just because it's more flavor. It's more stat checky as well. And I also just really like the idea with the detachment rules that if you hurt me, you're giving me rerolls. If you
That's
really
right.
hurt me, you're giving me more rerolls. So unless you are actually getting rid of my units, I'm getting better. Fine, I lose OC, big deal. But if you're giving me rerolls across the board on all my units, and the best thing is sometimes if you get a dreadnought that blows up. Oh no, I've taken a wound. Thanks, you've just given me reroll ones in the combat. Great. That's just
It,
funny.
it is very funny. Now, do I think solo dread builds are the way forward in this list now? I don't think so. I think bikes have been buffed so much now that you could quite happily do a mixed build. I think you're still using your Delamons. I still think you want a Galatus. I think you want Venerables in there.
100%. The list is still for the solar. It is 100%. You're still taking your two Telemons. You're still taking your enhancements. You're still taking the two tanks, and you're still taking the three Venerables. I've seen some lists that are taking three tanks, three Telemons, uh, three Contemptors, fill
Which
rest with chaff.
which is a hard stat check, right?
It's also a hard buy as well.
It's expensive. I mean, I'm of a fortunate nature that I have the free tanks. I could do the free tank build, but now the bikes have been buffed the way that they have. Is it necessary? I really liked it.
I
You could make this list, Carlo, absolutely friggin' lightning fast. Lightning fast.
You could do. The problem is it's still CP heavy. That all the attachments are still relatively CP heavy in what they want to do.
Yes,
If you're doing talons, you are literally going most of the time now. You are still just going for reactive moves, and I think the +1 to wound occasionally.
that's right.
Shield hosts, you are doing the feel no pain if you get immortals hit on you, or sustain if you take Draxus, for example.
Mm.
And now the new one is going to be, well, really, you want 2 CP for going, I'm going to advance. So I'm going to move through my wall, and then I'm going to advance and charge with a Dreadnought.
But you could do that for free if you have the shield captain in with some bikes.
Yes, but you can't double stack stratagems now. You can
No.
only do it on one unit.
So
If it was still the same of how it used to be, okay, then that would just be like you could have 2 units of bikes with 2 shield captains going through walls, which would be absolutely bonkers now with the new stat lines. but we can't do that. So it's still only one. So you still need to select when you're going to do it and who you're going to do it on.
But with regards to, so for a mounted unit, I think it's absolutely appropriate to do that because you have the pace just literally to zoom right forward, straight forward, 12 inches, move forward, and you're probably going to get your charge off on most deployments. But the other benefit we have there is you could do that for that, but if you position your dreadnoughts in the right way, the dreadnoughts are so fast now. They can move, they move in 8 or 10, then they've got their advance on top of that, and do you necessarily need them to shoot? I mean, you could put an awful high stat check pressure in these lists now. Custodes is now I think, one of the ultimate stat check lists.
I agree and disagree.
Yeah,
For
here we
two,
go.
there's for two very clear reasons. One, we still don't have the -1 damage that we used to. We don't have the regrowing guys that we used to. And
Just
you
regrowing
still
them out of
got
the ground. Oh, look,
yeah, just
it's a mushroom
hey,
custode.
that's fine because that goes with the theme of how my army looks, which is great. And then also you've still got things like the Deathwing Knights as well, who I still get -1 damage on them
They do get -1 damage, but
inbuilt.
but I think with the bikes are quite nice into that as well because they, the bikes will shoot you. They'll do some damage and then you charge them. Right? There's still only 5 models Deathwing Knights. They are only 5 models, and I think you're going to see Deathwing Knights go slightly because I think Dark Angel players now are going to be looking at their bikes a bit more closely because all bikes in this data slate have had a glow up.
They have. I think the big issue with the new detachment for Dark Angels is you're going to enjoy it, you're going to have a lot of fun, but the big problem is you are literally just going to go, Gladius is just better still.
Yeah, Gladius is still bad.
Gladius is still just going to be bad. It's going to be a lot of fun, you're going to really enjoy it, but Gladius is still going to trump all.
So I think what we'll do is at this point we will reconvene because there's going to be a lot of theory crafting with lists. There needs to be a lot of testing. Both myself and Kylo are at Nottingham, so we need to come up with our list before then.
Oh, I've already done it.
And we need to I need to come up with my list, and we need to work out what we're going to take. And it's really exciting times. I will let you all know. We're going to do next week. I'll be back doing a deep dive into the new detachment. I'm going to be talking about some of the potential lists you may want to run out there, and also I'm going to look at it from I don't have Forge World models as well. I'm going to give you a non-Forge World list, and I'm also going to give you guys out there a Forge World heavy list. Yes,
it's not even a heavy list, it is just Forge World.
Yes, Warhammer 40,000 has accepted that Games Workshop's accepted that these Forge World units in Custodes basically need to be embedded in our play. So this also, I think, gives up the strong reason to make them all plastic and cheaper for people to buy and more available. I would love to see a plastic Telemon. I'd love to see a plastic Achilles, and I'd love to see a plastic Galatus alongside the tanks as well. What do you think?
I would love to see all of that. The problem is I've already got them all in resin, so it doesn't really matter.
Well, no, but it'd still be. I think it'd be a better.
As you can see from these that are soaking.
Taking all of the rubbish off. Well, guys, I just want to say a massive thank you for tuning in and watching. If you've had the chance to watch, Kylo, thank you for being such a wonderful guest and coming and joining me for this exciting day.
Anytime.
And we will see you next week. I've been Aaron from Black Road Gaming. Take it easy, guys. Bye.